Alright, this is Ryan Shear's part two of the final project, talking about running the API locally. Uh, so, it's pretty clear that ESRI doesn't really recommend this. They really want you to grab it through their CDN. Um, but they do provide the API as something that you can download and run locally. So, first thing I found was this GeoNet, well, what used to be called GeoNet forum. And this is just basically them copying and pasting the actual documentation. So I'm going to move on to that. Uh, they really want you to just kind of use the hosted API the way we've been using it all class. But they do talk about install and setup. And then if you scroll down, you can learn about hosting all of this locally. So the main use case they put forward for this is a sort of restricted air gapped environment where you want to use the API. So this would probably be more for national security applications, or for remote situations where you need a GIS but you're off the grid. So like remote research outposts and that sort of thing. Regardless, there's a download link that will take you to this page. You do need a valid ESRI login to get in here. So this is my work login. The Penn State one will work just fine. So you can download it. Let's see. Yeah, and then installing it. So to make this work, you need to have IIS set up. Since my personal machine does not have a web server, didn't end up doing that. But as far as I understand it, it's not too hard, as long as you have the IIS working. So, you're using a non-Windows operating system. They have instructions for Linux. Linux, they want you to use the Apache stack, which is very standard for Linux. And see, they even mentioned that, like, copy it from the DVD. They provide, I don't know if I saw this on the last one, but there is a line around here somewhere where if you are, if you can't download this and bring it on site, they'll mail you a DVD, which is pretty freaking old school, but you know what? If that's what you gotta do, that's what you gotta do. So they expect this to basically, it looks like it would be added to the IIS services, and then you would need to change the config with your domain name in the top level domain. So that would be something like pennstatemaps.edu/ArcGIS library /4.26 if you're downloading the most recent release, but they have a lot of versions here that go back a long way. Obviously, they're always going to recommend, and I agree, use the most recent one, unless you know that one's going to be a problem. And then you should be able to access with the web API here. You download it. It lists here. There's a test page, which mostly just has the same stuff there. HTTPS required to host or use a website certificate. Definitely use that. You do need to sometimes using Node.js to automate replacing the URLs for the style sheet and the SDK. So to wrap this up, this feels very standard. The resources I mainly consulted was ESRI's documentation. If you want to learn more, I recommend reading up on either IIS or Apache HTTP server, depending on what you're using, Windows or Linux. Because this, and just more general resources on running APIs locally, because that's what this feels like, is sort of what this gets into, because you're really in developer territory here at this point. So, yeah, I'd recommend looking up on setting up web APIs just more generally, not GIS related, and then translate that knowledge to this. Thanks, guys.